Welcome to my show. A guest here again. His name is Apan Patel. Mr. Apan, how are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Tammy. Thank you for meeting me once again.
Yes, sir.
I'm doing good.
It's a great moment to meet you again, and I'm so glad to have you on my show again, Mr. Apan. I also want to go to the point of symbolism, Mr. Apan. There are also some symbolism when it comes to the Hinduism icons, Mr. Apan. Can you please, explain the symbolism of the key Hindu icon? Let me say, like the lotus or probably the OM symbol, Mr. Apan.
Yes. Let's start with lotus. So, lotus is a beautiful flower, right? It grows in the mud. Basically, it's in the mud, murky water. And yet, when you see the flower, it's not touched by the environment. It's not touched by the mud. It's like nice, beautiful, without any stains on it, right? So that's why it's a symbolic meaning that humans also can rise above the ignorance and ego and become like lotus flower, which is untouched by the environment surrounding, right? It also represents detachment. Have you seen the lotus leaf? Like lotus leaf is water repellent, so but water will not, make it wet. What it teaches is um, just like lotus leaf, we can live in this world doing our duties still without being attached to that. So that's another way of interpreting like what lotus represent. And third thing, which is meaning of growth and transformation, like lotus seed is always at the bottom of the muddy water, right? In the pond, meaning like you can still be in the darkest part of the world, and when you are willing to transform yourself, you can transform yourself. It's just you have to find the way. So basically, lotus represent three things. There are many things lotus represents. The three basic things that I like as its representation. Then we can go with Om. There are many misconceptions. Like if you really ask people like what Om means, they would say it's a universal sound that vibrates from the beginning of the universe. No, sound doesn't travel in the vacuum, so it cannot be a universal sound. Um, it's the myth that people are happy with, but it's not it. It's three states of mind, our mind, right? That's how the Upanishad philosophy is like so profound. It teaches you the very smallest thing of yourself. So it shows you like all words, A, U, M from Om, it represents different different state of our mind, starting from A, Jagrut Avastha, waking state, where we are awake and we are talking and we are interacting with the world and getting information, like our brain does get all that information inside. So that's one's first state. Second state is dream. When we go to sleep, our brain uses the information received during the entire day or from the past and then start creating the dream based on the information. Now, very important thing here to understand is our brain cannot create any image or anything that we haven't seen, right? So everything that comes to our dreams is through the waking state. And the third one is deep sleep. Deep sleep, where someday when you're really, really tired and you just go to sleep and you wake up in the morning and you realize, like, hey, I'm fresh, but I don't remember any of the thing. Like, I don't know when I slept, and I didn't have any dream. That blank entire state is called deep sleep. So shupti, where you have no idea what happened, but you are still awake. You come back like from death, right? You come back. So these are basically three states of mind represented by the symbol Om. Now, slightly beyond that, it represents a fourth state, which is the last state of mind, a state which cannot be conceived by any states of mind, which is way beyond. Like there is something that cannot be think of, cannot be understand. That state is called Turiya, and it literally means the fourth. So Om basically represents four states of mind, saying that you live in this three state, um, waking state, dream state, and deep sleep state. But out of that, to identify, to know yourself deeply, you have to know the fourth state of Turiya, which is a theoretical state, to be honest with you. But it tells you like try to reach to something that is at infinity, right? So try to make yourself better and better by using fundamentals of the Upanishads and Vedants.
I would like to also dive to the point of Bukati, if I'm correct, Mr. Appan. Bukati, Mr. Appan. Can you please share some insight in that practice of Bukati, that is devotion, and how do you think it fosters to inner peace, Mr. Appan?
Yeah, bhakti. It's called bhakti devotion, right? Um, so bhakti is devotion is a general word that we all have heard. Devotion is the bhakti word comes from the root of a Sanskrit word called bhaj. Bhaj means to partake, to engage, to share, right? And now there is a misconception in the religion, in any religion, when they say praying or bhakti in Hinduism, it's like you are just talking about God. Bhakti is about just praying God, which is a preconceived wrong notion. Devotion is not just praying; it's one way of many devotions that you can have. Devotion can be anything. Like if you like playing a flute, it's a devotion. Like you learn that with full heart, it's a devotion. If you like growing food like me, sure, it's a devotion. If you like reading, becoming an actor, swimmer, anything that can keep you focused on what you are doing is a devotion. It doesn't have to be just God. Those who cannot find anything, they use devotion as bhakti, praying to God, because they don't know what else they want to do with their self. But there are many things that you can focus on. Now, what happens, like think about yourself when you focus on something like you like making videos, you invite guests, so your day is full of focusing on that. That leaves no room for any other distractions, right? You are so devoted to your work, you probably don't go outside and talk useless stuff with people and get distracted, right? So that way, avoiding unnecessary conversation with people that might fill your mind with something else, you are doing your own stuff completely full with your environment and completely at peace with your own self. So this is how like bhakti, focus on something, devotion can bring you the peace.
I completely agree with you, Mr. Akwan. Devotion, it's really, really important. I would just want to go to the, decision point of decision making and ethnical, living. Hinduism will definitely be a philosophy that also helps someone in decision making. Even the way someone could possibly be living in the life he or she comes, for. I would like to ask Mr. Apan, how do you think Hinduism probably encourage ethnical living and also decision making, Mr. Apan?
So again, the answers to ethical living and decision making goes back to the Upanishad. There is one Upanishad called Isha Upanishad, which basically teaches you about ethics in very first slok. So slok goes like this. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat tena tyaktena bhunjita magrida kasya swittanam. What it translates to is all this, everything that moves, doesn't move, everything is in this universe is um, ruled or controlled indirectly by the Lord. Isha, Isha means Lord, Ishwar. Therefore, enjoy everything with renunciation, meaning enjoy but don't get too attached to it, because everything, including you, is temporary. And especially, do not expect anyone's wealth. Like, that is what is not yours. Never expect that. So, this very first Slok in Isha Upanishad teaches about the ethics. Like, this is what you should not do, or this is what you should do. Um, It teaches us not to use like overuse resources of earth. It teaches us like use everything on earth wisely, otherwise things will, have like things like we are seeing today are going to happen. So it kind of like warned us like a long time ago. And Bhagavad Gita, if you have heard about it, it also uh, teaches you like good decision, bad decision, a right decision, wrong decision. Like usually when you ask someone, they might say that good and bad, right and wrong are personal opinion or perspectives, but that's not true. Like there are some situation where right has to be right and wrong has to be wrong. So that kind of guidance Gita provides that. So Isha, Upanishad, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, there are many other Upanishad, they do teach you like how to ethically live and what are the ethics. If somebody has no idea what ethics is, like they will teach you like this is right, this is wrong, from general point of view, like general people, how it works. So yeah, that's how it helps you with ethical living to an individual.
I'm definitely glad that this Hinduism helps someone in decision making, and it also gives someone some certain type of encouragement one needs in the life that he or she comes for to, or maybe probably get the success or even achievement he or she is searching for in the coming future. Thank you so much, Mr. Apan. And I also want to go to the point of misconception, Mr. Apan. There will definitely be some misconception that comes with Hinduism that people could probably say about Hinduism. What do you think are some of the common misconceptions about Hinduism that you often encounter, Mr. Apan?
This is really great question. Because there are many misconceptions, but we will go through some. Okay. Um, um, there is a basic concept of Nastik and Astik. I'll explain both terms for you to make it easy. Astik, according to the misconception of Hinduism, is believer in God, versus Nastik means non-believer in God. So people are divided based on Nastik or Astik. Either you believe in God or you don't believe in God, right? But that's not true. That's a misconception. Like most of the Hindus, I would say 99% of the Hindus, that's how they perceive the concept of Astik and Nastik. But the fact is, Astik is one who believes in Upanishad. All the things that we are talking, which is about self-improvement, self-observation again, and introspection. If you are doing that, you believe in yourself. Hence, you believe in God indirectly. So believing in Upanishad, which teaches you become better and better, is astic, meaning you believe in yourself first. And versus those who don't believe in themselves or in the Upanishad or haven't read about the Upanishad are Gnostic. So definition, when you look from the Upanishad perspective, definition completely changes. It's like 180 degree, right? Who were Astics are now Gnostic and who was Gnostic is now Astic. So that is a misconception that I hope people soon understand. Second one is the Atman, right? People you might have heard about like Atman entering the body, soul. Atman is soul,
Yes.
basically entering the body and leaving the body, right?
Mm.
Now, that concept is like in all the religion. It's not just in Hinduism. Concept of soul exists everywhere, but Hinduism goes a little bit deeper because it's being philosophy. It can be put next to science. Now, think about conceptually. In order to make decision, soul need a brain, and soul doesn't have a brain, right? Uh, in order to make sure I have to enter somewhere there, soul has to be able to see, but soul cannot see, right? So people still don't try to understand the concept with like open mindset. And again, the concept of soul, concept of rebirth, concept of reincarnation is a huge misconception. And the last one, I would go with is the concept of heaven and hell. But if you think about it closely, like when you die, your soul is not going to be punished in heaven or hell. Like it's not going to be punished in hell or will be pleased in heaven because soul doesn't have a body. Like who will punish the soul? It doesn't have a body, right? It's just a concept. Um, Hell and heaven is right here, right now, depending on what we make, depending on the decision we make and the consequences we face. For example, I like bikes, right? But I don't want to buy a very costly bike because I know I buy a bike and something happens to it next day, my life is going to turn from heaven to hell. Heaven, when I bought the bike, I was happy, and hell, something happened to bike. Now I can not sleep at the night because I spent so much money on it, right? So choices that we make in day to day, like the smallest choice, is representation of heaven and hell. Those were the main key things I wanted to go over as part of misconception. Hopefully, through your video, um, some people will start thinking about this and change their perspectives about Hinduism.
I completely agree with you, Mr. Arpan. You know, people used to have this mentality, even most, especially the point you go to the heaven and hell. You know, this earth is a very, very, very tough place, and you know, we have the tremendously successful people. We also have the tremendously people who are possibly, you know, still struggling. You know, those who are on top today faced a lot. You know, and if so, you know, for them to do every single thing that was right and every struggle they put into themselves, and that is why they are where they are today, and that even feels like heaven already. And I would like to also go to the people who are non-Hindus, who would possibly would like to get Hinduism into their perspective, into their probably into their lives, Mr. Apan. How do you think non-Hindus can also integrate these Hinduism practices like mindfulness, even self-awareness into their lives, Mr. Apan?
Definitely. So again, a great question. So as we talked, it's a philosophy, and philosophy doesn't have any thing to do with religion. So basically, if someone who has not known or followed the Hinduism so far and would like to uh, integrate with Hindu practices, is basically he or she has to do few things, which is again the lessons from Upanishad, which is one of them that you mentioned already, which is mindfulness. To also be mindful, not to regret when things go against your um, expectations. Second thing, self-inquiry still is a great tool without religion, right? So you have to ask yourself, like, yeah, right now I am here, what I want to do, how I want to contribute for a better life for the others and the people around me. Detachment, one thing we talked about, like, yes, you have relationship, but uh, you don't have to necessarily get too attached that works against you, right? Emotional blackmail is one of the example. Like people will start emotional blackmail you once they know that you are too attached to them. And karma, like you have to just do your duties. Once you know what you want to do, you have to stick to it without expectation of result. I wouldn't say have no expectation, have expectation, but the expectation must be in a way that is not just for you. It includes people around you as well. So yeah, these are basic ideas that can help anyone on the earth, any living human being with intellect, to integrate with Hinduism principle.
Mindfulness is very, very important. I also personally try my best to get more research and more education when it comes to Hinduism, Mr. Apan. And I would also like to ask, you know, I know I've asked you this question before, Mr. Apan, but you know, I just normally do it
Mhm.
in my episodes. From the ancestors, from the forefathers, there are a lot of things that do exist during our ancestral time that is missing in our time today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, Mr. Apan?
I have different answer at this time. During our audio, I had different answer, but I thought about it again. So my focus and my interest at this moment is around Upanishad. So my answer is also aligned with that. If I had to bring someone back, I will bring back who wrote these Upanishads, um, because this is the time where it's hard to um, it's really hard to identify people with right intention. Like, it's quite possible that I am trying to spread good news by using Upanishad, but underneath, I have desire to be famous, or I have another desire to, get rich by being famous. So I can have a motivation for what I'm doing, but those who wrote the Upanishad, they didn't have any desire. In fact, nobody knows who wrote the Upanishad. Can you believe that?
Hmm.
Nobody knows who wrote the Upanishad.
Wow.
And that means they never wanted to get any kind of fame. What they wanted to teach is about life, about the philosophy, about the ethics, without any expectation. And if someone can do that, I would like to bring them back, to teach me how to do it and teach people around us how to do that.
Yes, that is really massive. Even during our time today, anybody, anything anyone wants to do now, everybody wants to make sure that they are the one that wants to be out there. And that is really, really inspiring to bring information out just for other people to learn the philosophy and without them even trying to, show off or, put a name is a massive, massive one. Mr. Apan,
Yeah.
again, with the whole of my heart, I want to thank you for this opportunity. I want to thank you for every single step and every single thing you've done in my life. Thank you so much, Mr. Harper.
Thank you, Timmy. Nice to meet you. Hope to see you sometime soon.
Exactly. I'm so happy.
Bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Bye bye. See you later.
Bye bye. Bye bye.